Well, good evening to everybody. We're in for a very exciting and interesting evening, thanks to Pan, who started a subject of the existential analysis, dream analysis, the analysis that logotherapy uses, and it actually led on to what is happening tonight. With her client, it also became evident to me that there was a spiritual struggle on a deeper level as well, a faith struggle, almost as if her client doesn't quite know which shoes to put on. She went back to her old shoes, but she didn't put them on. She said, I could go back. But actually, Pan used her analysis in such a way that she moved her client forward, that nothing was going to stop the client from having a stronger and even more faith-based mission than before. But that made me aware, and I made the remark then about what Frankl called unconscious religiosity. And I said to Pan that there are more layers than is obvious to the eye in terms of dreams. And lo and behold, I had a very lucid dream, which I am going to share with you at the end of our talk. And even though I understood the message and only this afternoon looked at something else that struck me, your comments and analysis would be most welcome. But I believe it to be a dream on the deepest of the spiritual unconscious. But let me then start with just looking at the layers, because in that as well is some magnificent meaning. There is a very shallow type of dreaming, which is on the merely physiological or top layer of the unconscious. You can almost say it's almost subconscious, and on this level, the brain works to produce sleep. Now, that in itself struck me very deeply, that we are meant to have restful sleep. And if we don't, there is a message in our dreams that we are challenged to look at in terms of its meaning in order to get what, is so beautiful in scripture and is captured in these words. He gives his beloved ones restful sleep. And just this morning, as we read our Psalms, my husband and I together, hear from Psalm 5, in peace I shall lay down and sleep soundly. Wow. Now, if we understand that we are actually put together to come to a final rest, you know what, it is like a Sabbath rest, where it's an accomplished work, and where we've come where we were meant to be. Wow, I read just a quotation, and that's why I'm so sorry Rain is not with us, from a yoga expert, that he said, the totally illuminated do not dream. Wow. Now that's quite something incredible, but we can look at that further on. But let's look at the top layer, the sort of merely physiological type of unconsciousness. And I'm going to follow Pan in reading it to you so that I don't waste time, because I tend to go off track have so many ideas in this head. In order for our brains to switch off from all the stimuli of the day's events, all the impressions, perceptions, whatever caught our mind's eye, the brain seeks to secure rest or a state of sleep by way of dreams. Dreams on this top or shallow, almost subconscious level of unconsciousness are a jumble of inconsequential things thrown together like a story. Because, you know, a story brings kind of cohesion, and things are not distressful and out of joint. But these dreams can really be discounted. I don't look at them at all, you know, and I understand that it was just my mind trying to keep me asleep. These meanings, these dreams have got no meanings except to produce sleep. And funnily enough, I know when I'm falling asleep, when I start thinking illogical things, or disconnected things, or things that shuts off my critical mind, right? And then I know I'm falling asleep. Anyway, let's look at the second level. This is where logotherapy starts to come in. The psychological layer of dreams. Dream content from the psychological unconscious, okay? This is the second layer. These are dreams with meaning content, not shallow and inconsequential. These dreams are called lucid dreams, right? Things that make a sharp impression and that you remember the next day, right? And like Pan said, write it down immediately because it does fade out of your mind. But anyway, and what is the content of these dreams? Things that are very upsetting to us, that have pained or traumatized us, and that we find hard to face or feel helpless to deal with. And these awarenesses are repressed into the unconscious. It's a way of defending ourselves, okay? It is a way of defending ourselves against the trauma. That's why, you know, very traumatized people will curl up on a bed like a fetus, almost to lose all sense of consciousness, right? Freud, the master analyst of psychological dream content, maintained that undesirable memories become suppressed in the mind and that dreams serve to ease the unbearable pressure of that repression. Freud referred specifically to guilt-laden content like forbidden sexual desires and aggressive impulses. But, is that not actually conscience at work? This is how logotherapy, in comparison to psychoanalysis, that seek to just bring these dream content to the fore in order to get a state of equilibrium, that you adjust to it, or, you know, it's not so terrible, or you, and like Freud said, release these things into sport and art, so that, you know, it's an equilibrium. And Frankl strongly maintained this is not what we are after, not a nirvana. And, you know, like Freud had in the end, there's a destruction of consciousness. Everything in logotherapy is geared to a higher level of consciousness. So dream content in logotherapeutic view of things is to be brought to the surface in consciousness. You know, the unconscious has to be made conscious in terms of responsibleness. There's something to be done about it. What is the meaning of this dream? What is the dream saying to you? What is it that you have to deal with? A dream can also be a warning, okay? Or a self-reproach. But it has meaning. And just think about it, that actually, that Frankl said, conscience is the way to understand logotherapy dream analysis, because rather than Freud saying we don't want to admit to sexual and aggressive instincts, Frankl says no. We suppress those things, ugly thoughts and hostile feelings or lusts. We suppress them because we do not approve of them consciously. And it's something we want to hide or shy away from in recognizing it consciously. But just think about this. In logotherapy, we are helped to see that we know that we are inherently good people with a will to meaning. Our lives are given to us for a purpose. So, we deal with these things in terms of repenting of it and of making the necessary restitution where necessary. Think of the creation story of Adam and Eve. When they did wrong, listened to and accepted ugly thoughts and their lustful desires were elicited, they hid away in shame. But what did God do? God didn't leave them there. God called them out and said, "Who did this to you? And you are to take a stand." God forgave them and then sent them out of paradise with a mission to overcome every wrong or dubious or thing that make us question the meaning of life, to overcome it and to return to paradise in our absolute sublimity. Logotherapy sees us as earmarked for human greatness, reflecting everything that is divine, right? So, yes. So seeing such conflicts as crisis of meaning, that's what it is. It's a crisis of meaning on a psychological level, and not to lift the burden off a guilty conscience like psychoanalysis seeks to do, but to look at such content as instead speaking to us, to our conscience, in terms of having to resolve that conflict in meaningful ways. That's what Pan is expert at. It really, I agree with everyone's perception from last time. It's a gift that has been given to her, a gift that her life has prepared her for, because Pan had been hurt into such deep levels that, she had to go into therapy to bring these unconscious, almost unbearable thoughts that came as a result of it to the fore in order to deal with it. And she found her healing through logotherapy. Okay, she's on her way with the most magnificent mission. Okay, so okay, let me then just go. Pan works on this level in a dynamic instead of a psychodynamic way. And there's a great difference. A book has just appeared, Logotherapy and Existential Analysis. And I've written one of the articles in here that what Frankl said, I called it the pathology of psychopathology. That psychopathology is a lie that can drive us crazy. And people that cannot deal with such pain and hurt and all that has happened to them in terms of having a negative perception of themselves in the world become mentally ill. That angel in us turns into a demon that persecutes us, and we are meant to overcome the demon with the angel. It's actually wonderful. Right. Now, let's come then, and it was evident in Pan's analysis that her client was, and Pan herself, led the interpretations in a spiritual way, in other words, in a meaning-directed way, as it came from the deeper dimension, from the will to meaning, that surfaces on the psychological level. And we deal with the meaning of the moment, dealing with a present situation, or something that hampers us from in our present life from the past, in order to get us on the road of living every moment meaningfully. Okay, but then there's still a deeper level. What is this? What kind of dreams happen on the deepest, most profound level of the spiritual unconscious? And I said here, the spiritual or the profound depths of our dreams are dream content from the purely spiritual unconscious, beyond the physical, beyond the psychological, purely spiritual. This is the deepest layer of the unconscious that Frankl called the unconscious God. When the communication that comes to us in dreams has to do with the deeper existential question of the meaning of our lives in an ultimate sense, right? A more direct awareness, if you analyze these dreams, of our lives as a task, and of being commissioned for a higher cause. These are biblical dreams. All the dreams recorded in scripture are visionary and prophetic. And it's astounding to dream on this level, okay? And think, there are so many. Think of Daniel's distress, and when he analyzed Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a image, and he could interpret it as a weakening from the head of gold to the feet of iron and clay, that evil will be overcome, and the stone of truth eventually destroys this whole image. What a wonderful reassurance to Daniel, that was in Babylon and suffering on behalf of his people. And he got this dream. Wow, such reassurance. Or Jacob's ladder, that had a transformational effect that delivered him right out of his fears into becoming Israel, having a new name. A name, I'll give you a name that no one knows, the name of your unique mission in life. Or a Joseph dream which was a messianic dream, of how from the midst of the Jewish people would come the Messiah, to whom everyone will bow the knee. But he was misunderstood. But anyway, his dream, because it's prophetic, will certainly and has certainly happened. And okay, so you can look at every one of the biblical dreams and learn a lot from them. But these dreams are messages of reassurance and hope to the dreamer. And of course, it filters through to the psychological level, and Pan did it brilliantly in bringing out hope, giving our client reassurance and hope, and setting her on the path of a unique mission, definitely. But the conflict that the client had was in the here and now. But Pan, I still think you analyze it on the deeper level, the more I think about it. But anyway, okay, it's, I said, yes, like the dream of Jeremiah, when the end time glory of his people was revealed to him. And he made this remark: when I awoke, my dream was sweet to me. You see, on the psychological level, there's a conflict on the go. And bringing out the conflict elucidates the real content from the spiritual unconscious in terms of your unique mission in life, and setting you on a path of meaning. But there's not a conflict on the with the spiritual dreams. In fact, an existential anxiety, a real pain and suffering where you cry out for the why of something. That dream comes to you in a clear content in terms of it's not a conflict you have to solve, it's a reassurance or it's a commission. And the analysis here is quite different. So let's just see when we get to my dream. I said we can also dream prophetic and visionary dreams. In fact, this is the content that comes through to the psychological unconscious, like Pan illustrated. Her client had a mini crisis connected to her mission in life, and Pan's powerful reassurance that she would find her feet on an even higher and stronger, more inspired and empowered level of moral grasp and wisdom, because that's what grows. You understand more, you become wiser, and you become more discerning, and you spiritually mature even more, right? Now, I had a dream. It was a dream soon after Pan's presentation, and that led to a discussion with Pan to have a further Zoom session tonight on logotherapy dream analysis to highlight the unconscious spiritual level of what Frankl termed the unconscious God, our unconscious relatedness to the divine. God speaks to us on every level. He gives us sleep. On the psychological level, to challenge us to consider the meaning of our lives. You know, we're not just searching for meaning, we're searching for ultimate meaning in an ultimate sense. And, you know, and we said it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, but if you can recognize that you are being addressed, that you are challenged by way of conscience, and that you have to take a moral stand, that's fine. That's logotherapy. But Frankl said, when religious content comes into the room of a logotherapist, you are absolutely free to talk about the client's faith. In fact, Frankl said, faith is the ultimate meaning that floods all of life with meaning, okay? And people stop short of it, but that's the end result. So I'm not ashamed to speak about God and say, well, that's not logotherapy. It is, okay, but within a right context. All right. And the highest level is being reached when the unconscious God becomes conscious to us. That is, when we clearly perceive our commissioned task in life. And this you can perceive without recognizing the realization as being given by God, okay? That doesn't really matter to me. Or it shouldn't matter to any logotherapist. And it's who are we to determine, you know, what a path of a certain individual must be. Right, and this was the content, I believe, that my dream held and that I now want to share with you. Now, not that I liken myself to Frankl, but he quoted the very passage about himself that this dream conveyed to me. And this is the passage. He is from Psalm 126. He that goes forth weeping, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. Oh my word, isn't that great? You know, and I'll listen to my dream. And only this afternoon I discovered another meaning, but because that particular point will also floor you. You wouldn't know what it means. My dream was that I was getting onto a fast-moving bus. It didn't stop for me. And, you know, I had to, you know, kind of scramble my way in. And I've always had anxieties about missing a bus or missing a plane or missing, a train. It's like I don't want to miss out and be left behind. I want to be in the movement of life. I want to be part of it, right? That is an old anxiety. But listen to this. I was carrying a huge packet of seeds, but it wasn't closed at the top. Now you can imagine my clambering onto the bus with this bag of seeds that's open at the top. My God, I could have dropped it, or the seeds could have spilled out. It's anxiety provoking, right? And I said to the bus driver, these are the words I used, and referring to the fact that I'm 90, I almost said 95, 85 years old, and that my husband is 91. He should be more considerate to take us on board, okay? And I said to him, it is not easy. Strange. It is not easy. But I made it, and I carried the packet of seeds with me further into the dream. Then there were two flash scenes. I was sitting on another bus, and I saw out of the window the most spectacular nature scene. I was so moved by what I was seeing that I thought I must bring others to see it as well. And then it changed to another scene, somewhere outside of our home, but looking at a spectacular view. And now I was reminded that I always wanted a home with a view. I've got feelings of claustrophobia. I need to see. And I hated wearing glasses because I felt I now had to look through the window. I want to see directly. And I want to have a clear view. I always wanted a home with a view. And, so wonderful that here in Israel, we have an apartment, it's a duplex, and the top balcony overlooks the most incredible view, the sea, and every Israeli town on the coast. It's a magnificent sight, and the green hills, and I never stopped to marvel at this view. But now my dream shifted. We had bought high chairs to sit on that upper balcony, so that we could look over the wall and, have an unimpeded view, right? But two of the chairs that were wooden had become so old that we threw them away. Now, that's just the associations that I've then had with this part of the dream, that there were just two chairs on the upper balcony. And I panicked because I wanted more chairs there. And we have, it seems like 4 would be the full number that I would have wanted there. We have 4 high chairs, bar chairs in our kitchen, but that's the lower level. And it's like then in a further shift in the dream, there were 4 chairs, but there were 2 people sitting, eating and drinking, not looking at the view, and they were blocking the view. And I was waiting with the people that I wanted to have seated there. And at last they left, and I could seat all the people I wanted to have seated there. So, and then the last part of the dream. I dreamt that I was giving a presentation on logotherapy. I was speaking to a vast audience, and but I dreamt that I wasn't anxious, that I felt clear-minded, that, you know, I often have dreams that I've come to a meeting with my curlers or still with my pajamas on, you know, unprepared. But this time I was totally prepared and nothing went wrong. And it was a stunning presentation that really got through to my audience. And Irene, are you here? Irene's not here. Because she came into my dream. You know, and sometimes dreams, it doesn't mean the exact person, but it's just a representation. I was impressed by Irene making a very apt, spot-on remark once, very spot on. And when I was finished, she made the first comment, and it was, and I could see she really got what I was saying. So, and then I woke up. Oh, I forgot to mention, and this was a thing that I didn't understand in the dream. I had this bag, a 600,000 seeds, 600,000 seeds that could feed 600,000 birds. So I thought, oh God, what is 600,000 about? And I can just tell you, I looked it up. You know, there's the gematria, the numerology of numbers having meaning, right? And there was a fascinating, I Googled it, an exposition of the meaning of 600. And the speaker was saying if 600 is intensified and multiplied, it implies a completeness of a divine plan, a fulfillment of God's purposes, or a spiritual transformation and purification, and also of restoring divine order. But I thought, well, that's 600. Okay, that's very interesting. And then I looked up 600,000. And this is it. The reference. Listen to this. Isn't that amazing? It's from Exodus 12. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot after their exodus. How many left Egypt? About 600,000 men on foot, besides children. And a mixed multitude went up with them also. Phew. And then my mind jumped to another scripture. In Amos, I will sift the house of Israel among all nations like grain is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least kernel fall upon the earth and be lost. What a magnificent thing, that our purity of spirit cannot be lost if we seek to nurture it. Anyway, comments, please. Sure. But that was a very lucid dream. Look, I very seldom have very lucid dreams, but that was it. That was very lucid.
Dr. Shantall, may I have a go?
Yes, please, Mark.
I do so very nervously because I'm absolutely terrified of this dream thing. And I was actually told Pan the other day how wonderful her presentation was, because it kind of unlocked a little bit of the fear I have about going towards dream interpretation. So, but I'm going to put out there what I got from you, what you said to me. And it's maybe a little unfair because I know you, so I know you, and about, if you came to me as a client who I didn't know and shared this dream with me, would I have these kind of insights without knowing you? So that's that's a sort of little caveat that I start with. But it feels to me like maybe okay, so you have the fear of getting onto the bus and missing out on life. And it's, for me, was very significant that you said to the driver, that you mentioned your age and your husband's age, and that he should slow down the bus. So there's almost that fear of, you fear missing the bus, but you did actually make it on. But even at this latter part of your life, there is still that fear that you might miss out on something. But more than that, miss out on the opportunity to give something, which feels like it's represented in that bag of seeds. And the fact that the bag is open, those seeds are ready to be sown, they are ready to be given. And the latter part of your dream, when you spoke about fertile ground, those seeds are ready to be sown on fertile ground. And everything about the view, and the view being blocked, I think that the view is not only a view of being able to see, but the view that you have in your lifetime and through your work, and the wonderful things that you have given to so many, many, I don't know how many thousands of people, the vision that you have opened up in so many other people's lives. So you have opened up views, different vistas, different possibilities to thousands of people. And maybe there was a sense that there was something maybe for a short period blocking that view, that potential in yourself that you felt worried about. But then suddenly you were in front of a huge audience giving a logotherapy lecture without any anxiety or anything. And it was so always, when those people left that you didn't want on your balcony, it cleared the way for you to once again be able to open the view that you have done for so many other people, for all the people in that auditorium. So it feels like everything together is about that you are never going to miss the bus. Even though you have this fear of missing the bus, missing the plane, missing the train, somehow you have always managed to be on the bus, and you always will. Even though you are older and maybe move a little slower, you still manage to get on the bus, carrying that massive bag of heavy seeds, which is open, ready to be sown and shared with the rest of the world. I don't know. That's what I got from that.
Well, I would have loved to be your client, really. That's tremendously reassuring. What about the anxious part about it, the seeds that may get lost? You gave me the reassurance that it won't be lost, but I think there was the anxiety that yeah.
Don't we, as human beings, that is about the logotherapeutic state of healthy tension, is it not? That we must always have, maybe not anxiety, but that as Frankl says, the tension between what is and what is yet to be achieved. And we are only in that state of healthy tension if we never become complacent about what we do. And so if we always have a level of anxiety related to our work, we are not going to become complacent. We are going to remain in that state of healthy tension, which is going to challenge us to keep moving forward, challenge our own limitations, challenge our own prejudices, our own fears, our own shortcomings. And yeah, so for me, yeah, anxiety is sometimes a spur rather than something which closes us down.
It's so wonderful you say that, because true, this is so necessary for us to distinguish between pathological anxiety, being fear-driven, and afraid of things and worried about the future and all that. That's so different from, and we have to release people from who feel that way to come into this healthy existential anxiety, which is which is really inspirational, isn't it? It's I hate to waste time. You know, I can't even wait, sit around while David is doing something and not, and we, you know, and I have to wait for him before we do what we intended to do. Then I start reading something or I start thinking something. I can't just become numb and mindless. It's I'm very aware of passing time. I am really. That's true. That's true. And it is an anxiety. How much time have I got left? Yeah.
May I just comment on that as well? And I think that it's about the anxiety about the amount of time. It feels, I mean, there's a reassurance there that it doesn't matter. Like the space that we occupy in the world, whether we occupy a space this big or this big, it's how much meaning we fill that space with. That surely applies to time as well. However much time, and none of us know how much time we have left. It may be a long time, it may be a short time, but how meaningfully are we going to use that time? And it feels like even, you know, getting onto the bus is a reassurance that you will always use whatever time is available to you meaningfully. You're never going to miss the bus.
Yeah.
You're never going to be left standing on the pavement.
Yeah. There is still a missing aspect, a real grief. It's a real grief, and one that I don't want to feel. I don't want to be misunderstood. I would hate to lose people because they feel upset by me or hostile towards me, or don't agree with me in terms of especially my political views, which isn't a political view. And, you know, logotherapy, and the logotherapy tour that I aim for us to have is to experience the truth of what Israel represents to all of us. It's not a favoritism, you know, Israel versus the lesser kind of thing, but the mixed multitude that joined the Israelites. And, you know, if I can just further, that's a real anxiety with me. Okay, that is a real anxiety that hurts me deeply when I do hear that there are students that have problems with me. That hurts me tremendously. Then I really feel I failed them. I somehow failed them. And that's very anxiety provoking to me. And I think this is part of the reason why it's a prophetic dream too, because, you know, it's only after this that I actually heard that there are students that feel this way. So it was like a prophetic dream, but it also had the vision of reassurance. But still, that is a great grief. And I can almost not bear it. I can almost not bear it. Sure. And that's, you know, that to me, it is captured. Look, Frankel had a lot of criticism too. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to him. I'm certainly not on his level. But, you know, look at Hertz. Look actually at what we suffer on a psychological level. It's hurt. And there's also spiritual hurt. And it's a very deep hurt. And, you know, it's so captured in why Frankel spoke about this scripture, because he had such opposition, especially from psychoanalysts and also from the Adlerian Society, and many that didn't see eye to eye with him. And he says, he that goes forth weeping. Why do you go forth weeping? You don't go forth confidently, you go forth weeping. Because why? You're bearing precious seed. You don't want that seed to be wasted, to fall onto the ground like that one parable, some fall on hard ground and the enemy immediately, picked it up, birds picked it up and flew away, or those that fell into shallow ground and there was so much weed that it got choked, or it just dried up, it didn't have roots. And or the cares and the worries of this world that can so drown one that you also, and then it says about the prepared ground that bring forth rich seed, but that ground has got to be prepared. And for the anxiety for me to on every level, whether it's on the level of ignorance, then I feel I haven't taught enough. That seed can just be, well, I don't think that, I don't believe that, or that's too much, or whatever. Or the shallow ground, the logotherapy students have come on board with us, but they don't stay on board. They came for whatever reason, and then they didn't go through. And others that are so choked up by, and oh, I have such compassion, so choked up with, look, we're living in a very difficult time. And it's so busy, and there's so many voices, and the pressure on us is so great that, we get choked, and we kind of, it's students that just go on and on and on. They don't complete their courses, or they just stop and they wait and wait and wait. It's a great problem for us. And that's why we so celebrate, but it's so few that actually get through to the end, like you did, Mark, like you did, did, Grant, like you did. So many of you did, but to encourage you to get rid of ignorance, and to let your roots go down more deeply, and to overcome this is the victory of suffering. This is the message of logotherapy, that it's what if you have it easy and nothing goes wrong. Where's the challenge? But we see that it's not a perfect world. There's a lot of terrible evil on the go. And so much hurt, and so much pain, and so much suffering. And to really get our heads above water, then to have a clear vision and to be steadfastly on the way, despite all the disappointments we have and the hurts we suffer, But so I feel. I do feel that this dream is also a challenge to me. I mustn't speak over students' heads. I must, like logotherapy said, you must meet them at the level where they are. And you've got to, what Frankel called logotherapy. Logotherapy is an education towards responsibility. It's an education. People need to be educated about the truth, okay? And so I dare not miss them. And those who are struggling to put their roots down, my God, you've got to be there. And Pan is so good at that. I'm so grateful to have her on board, because she has a way of making students become, secure enough to put their roots down. And she helps them such a great deal when it comes with these big problems they have and conflicts they have. But let's face it, this is part of my anxiety and part of the message of the dream. I have to tread even more carefully. Right.
Maria?
Yes.
I just wanted to talk about the bag of seeds and getting on the bus. That I felt just for that little bit, because I can't keep it all in my head, everything you said. It's gone already. That's why I have to do it in writing, so I can get in the zone and do each piece. But for me, I think about you writing that book that you're writing, and how desperately you want to get it out there and finish, because you have a message that for you is so important and so desperate. And you've got all this information, which I see as the seeds that you want to spread, and you want it to grow. You want people to hear it and see it, to see what you have. So it's very important to you. And you have this, with this war going on and everything, I think you have a terrible fear of missing the bus, not being able to finish the work that you're setting out to do. So that's what I see for that little bit.
Thank you, Pam. Yes.
And if you could get on the bus, you feel that when you're on the bus, the scene would be beautiful. Everything would be as you dreaming of so desperately.
I am so, and that's why the dream, I suppose, had such a strong message of reassurance, and you brought it out so beautifully, Mark. Thank you. Like I said, I'd love to be your client. It's to count your days. It says, count your days so that you may gain a heart of wisdom and understanding. My husband is counting his days. He's counting it from 2 very life-threatening operations and a heart attack. And he counts every day, but he does it in gratitude that he's been given another day. And that's a beautiful way of counting the days. I have to strengthen my faith, so-called, that I will have enough time to finish the task. In this reassurance that the dream did give in the end, saying that I'll bring, and even that what became to me the central theme, that the seed won't be lost, but you bring the sheaves with you. With you? Where? After my death. That there should be sheaves. We want to leave, and this is what logotherapy is. What is a will to meaning? What is the meaning of your life? It means that you want to have an impact. You want to be responsible for something or someone. That's why responsibleness is, like Frankl says, the essence of human existence. If you've got nothing to be responsible for, my God, what kind of, you can commit suicide. Nobody needs me. I've got nothing to say. I haven't got a voice. And I make no impact on the world. So the will to meaning is to make a change, to do your part in the bigger story. And I'm so grateful also what Mark indicated, that you're part of a bigger story. You're not telling the whole story, but you want to fill your space. You want to possess the place that has been given you. Not anybody else, your space, right? And how can you fill that space if you haven't given over all that you've gained, that life had prepared you for? It's magnificent to see how a life prepares us for our particular area of expertise. It's quite wonderful. I'm just thinking of you, Coral, when you told us about your sister. In telling a story, that is your area, that in the storytelling, and look, we said what does the brain do in terms of bringing many disparate things into some kind of flowing connection, to make it into a story. And I mean, every dream is actually a story. And in the end, we write our, what's the thing that gripped me when I was with Frankel? That was the turning point in my life when he said that we've got a book of life, a calendar, like he described it as a calendar. Each day is an empty page, and you're to write on it. And boy, you are to write on it the right things. What if you write on it terrible things, ugly things, resentful things, vicious things? Oh my word. So it's such a meticulous, conscientious project. What did I experience that was good and beautiful and true? And if there was something I did wrong, that I take note of it and put it right. That's the kind of granary of the past that Frankel spoken about. That nothing and no one can rob you of what you have accomplished. It's you. This is you. That's the sheaves you carry with you. This is my life. I lived it. So, that's very, very powerful to understand as logotherapists, that it's not just a question of having a happy life. It's a question of having a meaningful life. And that's not always easy, okay? There's a lot of struggle involved. There's a lot of challenges there. And we often are in tears and in agony. But we always, I always think, I said this once, what is faith? It's to be pushed over the brink of despair and to find yourself lifted again. Oh my God. Sure. That kind of underneath are the everlasting arms of the value and the beauty and the worth of your life. And that's where you must sleep. Wow. And dreams serve us. They serve us. It's like Frankel said, it's a royal road into the unconscious. So thank you so much for it's been quite personal tonight. But I think you will agree with me that what I dreamt was on this deepest level of our call, Adam, where are you? That's the call that Frankel said. Every situation comes to us as a call, a question that we have to answer. So it's quite marvelous, isn't it? And I think the most marvelous thing is that we have been put together for meaning. Even in our physiological sleep, it's the way to give us rest. And, that we are actually working towards that complete sense of total joy, total rest. Things come, that you can look back on your life and say, I'm so grateful for the life I was given. That's to die in peace. This to me is to, my mother always said, about talking about death, the eternal rest is still ahead of you. And I said, I never liked that because I think there's an eternal rest. Wait a moment. It's of a different kind. It's of a joy. It's of full living. It's of full appreciation of everything that is. And you won't think to hurt a fly. That's why you care so deeply when you think you are hurting people or you are missing out on serving them. That was the agony of my dream, I think. Okay. Thank you.
Teria, can I say just the last sentence? First of all, thank you for a most wonderful, wonderful lecture. It has a great, really fantastic impact on me and on all of us. And I just want to say one sentence that struck me, that the 4 chairs that are in the kitchen and they are intact ended up in the upper balcony. Actually, you ended up with the 4 chairs in the upper balcony, and the upper balcony actually symbolizes the spiritual unconscious. That is the higher part of ourselves, and from there you can see the whole view. So
Yeah.
I think, and then you gave a perfect presentation. So this upper balcony, which is the upper place in yourself, I think that's the victory of the whole dream, that it ends somehow, in my feeling, with a perfect order, not just what you said, the joy and the rest, but in perfect order, that the four chairs got ready for the people who you wanted to look at the view, and then the presentation went perfectly. So I feel that it's an anticipatory dream, actually, that you will, of course, finish your task, and that you are living on that higher balcony in stability of not missing out any train, or not missing out on the movement of life.
Oh, thank you for that, Dita. It's so true. It's very, very true what you're saying. Very, very.
Like moving
we out of time?
from the lower level to the higher level, from the kitchen to the balcony.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, now you made me realize that the four bar stools is actually to bring this lower level onto the higher level. To finish the task, so to speak, on a high note. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The victory of
Yeah.
the order, the perfect order.
Yeah. Okay. All right, it's 8 o'clock, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we look forward, please, if you have something to share, we have a next wonderful Zoom meeting with Coral on, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think we are in for another great experience. Okay, so good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone, and good
Thank
night.
you, Teria.
Thank you.
Good night to
you.
everyone. Teria.
Thanks. And thanks to Coral also.
Thanks,
you.
Karen.
Bye.
Bye,
Anna.
Pam.
Bye. Love you all.
Love.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.